welcome back to Glitter Budget with your hosts, Anjanette,
And Jess.
and we're continuing Buffy,
Yeah.
this time season 3. So we went a little off the handles last time. We went a little possibly too in depth with some of the episodes,
It's
but
okay.
it's fine. It's fine. I feel like I enjoyed it. Hopefully, you guys did. But we'll change up the way we do this episode. Possibly, we'll see.
I
Yeah.
don't know. See, I'm sorry.
What?
I don't know. I don't even know why I'm laughing, to be honest with you. But I know we left off last season
Mm-hmm.
with what?
What we didn't mention at the end of last season was the new Slayer, well, the extra Slayer, Kendra.
Yeah.
She ends up dying at the
We
end.
didn't mention that?
We did not.
Really?
We didn't.
Shit, Drusilla kills her.
Yeah.
In the library. Focusing on her eye thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I mean, we might have like briefly done it, but I don't know. I don't remember us really talking about that, honestly.
Well, our bad.
Anyway.
She did.
She did, so that means that another Slayer rises.
Despite the fact that there's still an active Slayer.
Well, okay. See, that's where it gets a little confusing. So here's the Slayer line. So you have the Slayer line, and Buffy dead, so it keeps going. But now Buffy's in her own timeline because she died, but she came back to life. So this original Slayer line is still going. It's still the original.
I get all right. I think I get what you're
Slayer
saying, but I
thing.
feel like that's a really loose way of saying, "Hey, let's introduce this other Slayer to shake things up."
But anyway, that's still the original Slayer line. And when you try to look up most of this lore
Yeah.
that goes with,
I mean, I guess I get what you're saying. Like, I guess that could be worked out, but I still think. All right. Anyways, so this is season 2. Kendra dies, so another Slayer must arise. We find Buffy has to kill her lover, who is sent to another weird demon dimension.
like a hell dimension.
Yeah, to prevent the end of the world from happening. Some heavy shit happens. So, season 3 starts out with Buffy
In L.A.
as under a different name, trying not to be a Slayer.
Mhm.
Leaving the Scooby Gang behind to fend for themselves and the forces of evil.
Mhm. Mhm.
So their motto is just, don't die.
Yeah.
And shit happened. But eventually, though, while she was there for what, 3 months? It was the summer, right?
Yeah. She always kind of goes away for the summer, but
it's typically like with her dad
yes,
for fun times, not like.
But yeah, this time she just up and left. Didn't tell her mom. Didn't tell anyone. Oh, also at the end of last season, that's when her mom finds out that she's a Slayer.
Yes.
And there's like this big confrontation between her mom and Buffy, and her mom's like, "If you walk out that door, don't come back."
So she didn't,
So she didn't.
and
So
somehow everyone's surprised.
yeah,
I don't know.
but like I kind of find that confrontation between the two of them was like, you take a normal real life situation, a confrontation between parent and child where they're like, I would come home late. Sometimes I would come home covered in blood and you didn't expect anything. You didn't ask. You just kept going on with your own little world. Like, I've almost died several times. I did die. And it like really comes to a head, and it is like, I find it like an emotional scene. And Joyce, no parent knows the perfect way to respond to their teenage child, especially when it comes to this kind of stuff, because they, you think that when they're talking in hyperbole when they say everything is life or death,
Right.
but it really is for Buffy. So Joyce was obviously distraught that Buffy just up and left, didn't she was mad, and she was speaking from a place of anger, I think, when she said, if you leave, don't even think about coming back.
I think it's probably like the last straw of her, just of everything, I mean, they had to move because she set a gym on fire. And
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of times that she was pulled into the principal's office and the principal basically like trying to find ways or excuses to expel her while they were in Sunnydale and all this other stuff happening. And,
Yeah.
it's, I mean, how do you process like, hey, all that shit's real, like demons and stuff, and it's all on me to take care of it at that time, what, 17?
Yeah. Because like Joyce is like, well, can't someone else do it? She's like, no, I'm the Slayer. Like it's just me. And it's I don't know. It was an emotional scene, I think. Plus, like this all happened at the end of season 2, so it's like emotions are running high throughout the thing.
Yeah, so Miss Calendar's dead.
Miss Calendar's dead.
Willow's hurt in the hospital.
Kendra ends up dying.
Yep.
Everyone kind of gets like injured
Yeah,
in some way
I
or
think Buffy
another.
kind of knows at the end of the day, like, she was going to have to kill Angel.
Yeah.
Like, I think she was kind of like, yeah, go ahead, Willow. Like, you do that spell.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's, what other choices is she going to have? Like, for all that riding on her shoulders, like, no, my mom's telling me not to come back. So, sorry, guys. I have to stay
Oopsies.
home. Like,
Yeah.
but I think, it was a lot. Like, it was something that Buffy was already kind of, hey, Kendra can be the Slayer now. I don't have to be. Like, I don't really
Mhm.
want this responsibility. And then for all of that to happen, I had to kill my lover. Yeah, I would have been pieced out too, man. I would have been like, all right, we're done. Had
Yeah.
enough for a lifetime, and I'm not even 18 yet. Like,
Yep. So she didn't want to do it anymore. She didn't have good coping skills, obviously. And she lives in LA for a while as a waitress. And what I find kind of interesting is that there's one other like side, like a smaller supporting character that kind of has a story arc, kind of like Jonathan has
yeah.
an arc because he was always like a background character or supporting character. And this girl, um, oh god, she was in the episode Lie to Me.
Yeah.
She was part of this. They were like vampire groupies. They wanted to become one of the immortal ones or whatever. And I forget her name from that episode, but she, that same character,
Mm-hmm.
played by the same actress, is in LA and kind of like the same whimsical, carefree kind of person. No longer like obsessed with vampires, but she recognizes Buffy. And so Buffy kind of like feels like a little bit beholden to her, like she kind of has to look after her because she keeps getting in trouble because she is this very naive person.
Yeah. She's very over trusting, and
Yeah.
can't take care of herself, doesn't really try to take care of herself. Like, I think
Mhm.
the idea that, hey, no, I could do this on my own, I don't need anybody, is just not something that registers with her.
Yeah, she clings pretty hard to things, and she ends up clinging to this guy that she's with in LA. They pool their money together and get matching tattoo, like a tattoo that kind of like matches the whatever. It's really stupid. But she Buffy ends up having to rescue her. Long story short.
Yeah. So inevitably, she still gets sucked into playing her destiny as a Slayer. Like,
Mhm.
it's a couple month reprieve.
Yeah. And she realizes that she kind of has like after she ends up saving this girl who ends up taking up her Buffy's pseudonym that she was using, which is Buffy's middle name, Anne. So this girl ends up going by Anne for the rest of her arc.
Right.
Um, but I don't know. You haven't gotten to her in Angel yet.
No, I am on episode 18 or 19. Faith just turned herself in.
Ah, okay, all right,
So I ain't there yet.
yeah, she comes back.
All right. I mean, that makes sense, though. She's in LA.
Yeah.
Angel's in LA. I get it.
So, but that was like a bit of a spoiler. Well, kind of, yeah.
Not really.
But anyway, so Buffy ends up going back to Sunnydale, and everyone's kind of pissed at her,
Rightly so.
for good reason.
Yeah, I will have to say, like, obviously watching Buffy a couple times, several times now, like watching Angel. It's a little bit of a spoiler. Like, Angel fucking tells Buffy off in an episode because they're reoccurring characters. They're gonna share shows still.
Yeah.
Because money. No, it actually. It lines up with the storylines for both seasons actually like really freaking well.
Yeah, there are a couple crossover episodes
Yeah.
that end up being like they're like one of the higher rated episodes.
But like I said though, if you're watching both, like they do line up
Yes,
like really, really, really well.
because they were played back to back when the WB was still a thing, and
Ah,
then because that's how I used to watch it.
right.
Because you would watch the one and then into the other. So when they had the crossover episodes, it was kind of like watching like a full length movie
Nice.
almost. Um, but yeah. Anyway, go on.
Indeed, like, oh, she just, she's always, and I get it, why, but she's always very like, what about me? What about
Mhm.
me? You don't understand. I'm the just very like on her high horse, very self centered. He just knocks her the fuck down. It felt good to watch because it was needed. And I
Yeah.
feel like, what was it, the second episode then of season 3, when she
Yeah.
tries to come strolling back in, of like, poor me, you guys understand. I had to kill my lover and it's just all on me and you need to be understanding.
Mhm.
They were like, fuck you. All
Yeah.
right.
I feel like Xander played a big part of that. So in that second episode, Dead Man's Party, um, Joyce kind of had to adjust, like start making new friends. And there's this one friend in particular that Buffy's not a fan
Yeah.
of because she's very like this friend is very assertive. She kind of like tries to do quote what's best for Joyce and everything, and it seems a little bit overbearing. And they decide the her friends, so Willow, Xander, Oz is part of this now, Cordelia, they all are like, let's throw Buffy a party to kind of like not talk to her about what happened. To try
Yeah.
to just like move on and pretend like everything's normal without addressing the shit that went down. And I think Xander's most perturbed about this. And he kind of flies off the handle first. And she's like, oh, well, you wouldn't understand, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, that's because you didn't fucking talk to us.
Yeah.
You didn't try to talk. You didn't try to explain it to any of us. Like, you just went off. Like, you had to do this on your own. Like, we're here for a reason. And, this is like one of the big times, because there's going to be another time in the last season where her friends kind of turn on her and they're like, you have to stop acting like you're this egomaniacal kind of like everything rides on your shoulders. Like,
Yeah.
we're here too.
I was gonna say, I think
We've helped you. It's not like
and I think they show, especially in this one, in her conversation that Willow has with her, that she's there for other things. Like she's important as a best friend.
yeah.
I mean, at the end of last season, obviously Willow starts to get really interested in magic and does a couple
Mhm.
of spells. So she tells Buffy like, listen, like, I started like doing a lot more like practice in like the craft.
Like heavy magic. Well, heavier
Yeah,
magic.
to the point where like she blacks out like a good chunk of the neighborhood by
Yeah.
accident, and she's like, it was really scary, and I needed my best friend
Yeah.
to like talk to about this and be there for me, and you weren't there.
Mhm.
So it was like that was kind of you're not just the Slayer, like you're a daughter, you're a friend, like you're there for other reasons
Yeah.
that's just as important, but in a more human way.
Exactly. And it's just I like the fact that they kind of brought that into that argument. It's just like you aren't just the Slayer. That's the
Mm.
reason you're still alive.
Yeah.
Is because you have friends, you have family that are willing to help you to like try to, you know, keep you alive during all this stuff and to keep you grounded and whatnot. But you also, it's not all about you. You have to know what's going on with your mom, with your best friends, and all this kind of stuff. With your watcher, like
Yeah.
everyone's going through some pretty heavy shit. Like, Willow is now with Oz, and so that's Seth Green's character. And this is around the time where um, Xander and Cordelia.
Yeah. Secretly start hooking up.
Hmm. Hmm.
Well, not
And
hooking up, but like they're sucking face.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
because he actually,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Oh God. Any whoozle. I was trying to see if I was gonna do it again. um, Sorry, Google was getting all up in my business last episode. We were recording. I said any whoozle, and it was like, you're talking to me?
I get to do stuff now, right?
Right?
It's my time to shine.
And it was, no, sadly, it was like, But anyway, so this is the season where the new Slayer is introduced, and that is Faith, played by Eliza Dushku. I don't know how you pronounce her last name, but Dushku.
I feel like there's other really unfortunate ways that you could pronounce that last name, so let's just go with the way that you're pronouncing
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll go with that because we don't know. But she is kind of like the complete opposite of Buffy. She
Drastically opposite.
is very sexually charged. She's a very
Fly
in
by
your
the seat of your hand, like seat.
seat of your pants.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. She's a very, I don't know. She's more of like that id kind
Oh
of
yeah.
person. She is more about pleasure and shoot first, ask questions later, kind of.
And she very much like embraces the role of a slayer. Like
Yeah.
I don't gotta worry about school. I don't worry about it like all the other responsibilities that normal
Mhm.
people have. Like it's literally just point me in the right direction. I'm gonna kill the thing and then I'm gonna go party and fuck.
Yeah.
So deuces, like why wouldn't you like this lifestyle?
Yeah. And she is kind of like Buffy in that she, unlike Kendra, Faith also didn't do the whole like learning the Slayer handbook, all this, that, and the other thing.
She did have a watcher for a hot second though.
Yes.
Yeah.
And but her new watcher, Wesley.
Well, both there. So in last season, when they put
Not
no,
yet. That's in this season.
that's when they introduced Wesley though, because he overtakes everything.
Yeah, but he's okay, so the point we're getting at is that
Sorry.
Giles is eventually stripped of his role as Buffy's watcher because there's an episode in season 3 called Helpless, I believe.
I could have sworn did we fuck that up or did we jump the gun last? Because we definitely discussed this. Or did we discuss it during the pumpkin carving thing? And that's where I'm getting it mixed up.
I think it might have been in the pumpkin carving because I don't remember it last season. I think we might have briefly talked about Giles having to do that, like give her, but we didn't discuss the consequences of that.
Right. I don't know. Continue. I don't know.
Anyway, there is a trial. Well, we were talking about the Watchers Council and the fact that they're dicks.
Yeah.
That was in the last season, I think. Yeah. The last episode that we were discussing.
Sure.
Anyway, the Watchers Council, they like to meddle where they oughtn't meddle. Ought not meddle. I don't know how that.
They need to mind their fucking business.
There you go. So anyway, there's this test that they force Giles and Buffy to kind of go through. So what this is supposed to do is to make sure that the Watcher is kind of like impartial and will do his duty no matter what, which is to lead the Slayer and mold her and shape her and whatever, get her ready to do battle, but won't get too caught up in his emotions for the Slayer
Mm-hmm.
and all that kind of stuff. So what he has to do is he has to give her injections of some kind of mystical potion or whatever that's going to strip her of her powers. And that's what it does.
Yeah.
So Buffy thinks that she's doing these kind of like meditation sessions with Giles, and meanwhile he's like putting her to sleep and shooting her up with the stuff. So then it gets to a point where she's stripped of all of her powers and she has to try to defeat this fucking psycho-ass vampire.
It's been like drugged up and starved and
Yeah.
yeah.
And he's in a straitjacket and whatnot. And actually that the guy who plays that vampire also plays a completely different character
I thought so.
in season 6.
Yeah.
We'll get back to him when we get to that season. But they do that a couple times throughout this series, is that there are certain actors that come back and play different characters. Um, Luke from
That-
the first
Yeah.
season played the judge who was in last season.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Annie Husel. Buffy finds out, and Giles kind of goes and tells her.
Yeah.
It's like,
He just
hey.
it's fucked up, man. Can't do it.
So Buffy's upset with Giles. Giles is upset with himself. The Watchers Council is upset with Giles.
Everybody's upset.
And they're like, hey, you passed, but your Watcher's no longer your Watcher. And so then both Buffy gets Wesley as her new Watcher,
Oh, that's right. She gets that psycho lady.
and Faith gets this woman that wanted this fucking
It was like the claw thing that
the
like
glove,
had like the
the glove
lightning.
of Minigan. Ha. So yeah, that crazy lady was posing as Faith's new Watcher, and but she had ulterior motives. She wanted this glove of Minigan that could make her like super powerful. She ends up dying though, so that was
Yeah.
cool.
Is that kind of like just I don't know. I mean, I like Faith's character, but I also kind of feel bad because like she didn't really have anybody to kind of actually be a proper Watcher because her first original Watcher was killed.
Yeah.
Come later to find out. So Buffy help Faith kill this ancient vampire who inevitably killed her Watcher is what eventually unfolds.
Oh, Kakistos.
Yeah. But Faith is kind of like
Kissing toast.
it's kind of, like there's no way. Like there's no way to kill this guy. Like we just have to run and, Buffy kind of helps her through that
Yeah.
to be given the psychotic Watcher. So she doesn't really ever have anybody that's like consistent and that's always going to have her back and that doesn't have either is dying or have some type of ulterior motive.
And I think that shapes who Faith is as
Oh,
a
yeah.
person. Like she has huge abandonment issues. She's never had any kind of father/mother figure to care for her. So that's why she comes off as like she doesn't give two shits, as very standoffish, why she kind of like takes men and throws them away and all this kind of stuff. And
Yeah. Definitely take care of myself. I don't need anybody. Like,
yeah. So she can be influenced in a way, which she ends up happening because the big bad for this season is the mayor.
I loved the mayor.
He was one of my favorite ones because he is supposed to ascend, quote unquote. So he's supposed to eventually become like a true demon type thing.
Yeah. Which wasn't it? Don't they eventually find out that he'd been there, like living on Sunnydale and created the town of Sunnydale for the ascension and to like just get demon activity and stuff like that going, right?
Yeah. So he's been there for like centuries,
couple
millennia,
hundred years.
whatever. He's been there for a long time and he's just kind of like biding his time until the ascension. And so he has to get all these ducks in a row. He has to do certain trials in order to try to ascend.
I just love his personality and just the way they did his character. Because, like, he's this evil demon thing. He's just this, like, killer, but he's also just very proper. Like, don't
He's
curse.
a germaphobe. Yeah.
Yeah, like, can't curse. Have to be very polite. Like, the germaphobe thing, he just cracks me up. I don't know.
Yeah, the actor who plays him, he did it really, really well, and I very much every episode that he was in, I was like, oh my god, yes, the mayor's in it. But the mayor ends up eventually taking Faith under his wing.
Yeah. Well, because there was like a couple episodes where her and Buffy
bonded,
get a little bit close. She starts to, pull Buffy out of like her very straight and narrow ways. But I think, it comes to a head though where Buffy's just like, hey, whoa, like, we need to plan stuff.
What happens, the reason it comes to a head, is that Faith kills someone, and it's the mayor's aide.
Right, but I think leading up to that, though, it was their arguments of, like, we can't just keep going in guns a-blazing without actually seeing what we're doing, the plan again, like that fly by the seat of your pants kind of thing. And I think that's where they started to kind of bicker a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of like a huge, told you so moment where she accidentally ends up killing a person. And Faith being Faith was just like, you don't get it. I don't care.
Yeah.
they go over that line and that like her facial expression so much. Like over both shows
Yeah.
that just I anytime I hear somebody like I don't care,
That's what you think
that's
of?
all I think of. It's just that scene.
I don't care. Yeah. So, but you realize that Faith really does care. It does eat at her, but she tries to play it off. And that's kind of like Faith's thing, is that these events that happen to her, she tries to play it off like it doesn't affect her, but
Yeah.
she's human.
Yeah.
Just like anyone else, these things do affect her. Um but yeah, so she ends up being a pawn of the mayor. The mayor treats her very well, gets her own like little apartment, gets her a fancy
He
knife.
definitely cares for her
And he does.
though.
No,
They
he
care for
definitely
each
does.
other. It was so cute.
It was
Mm.
like, if he weren't evil, it would have been a really nice thing for them to like an arc for them to have.
Yeah.
But so yeah, those were some big episodes. Well, we had mentioned that Xander and Cordelia are an item.
Yeah. Their
They're a
secret item.
couple. It's eventually found out by Willow, and she's like really upset because she's like, you and I ran the I Hate Cordelia Club, of which you were treasurer, like founder and treasurer. And so she's feeling like really betrayed.
Like not only betrayed, but like she loved Xander for so long, and he never felt the same way and chose somebody that they hated together over
Yeah.
her. Like
Yeah.
it's a real kick in the teeth.
Mm-hmm. But Willow and Oz are like a super cute couple together.
So adorable.
Like, I do wish that they kept Oz around, but I do like what happens with Willow in future episodes. Like, I
Yeah.
like Willow and Tara together. But yeah, so Willow and Oz are an item. Oz, you find out, is a werewolf
I love how he finds out.
because he obviously wasn't aware. He randomly finds out because his his little cousin like bit him,
Yeah.
but his cousin's mom didn't tell him that.
He's like on the phone and he's just like, oh, how long has he been doing that for now? A month, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
cool. Yeah.
Great.
So he's trying to keep everyone else safe and not, kill them. But, you know, it ends up being okay. Like they have in in this universe, in the Buffy universe, they technically have 3 full moons in a month. So they have the night before the full moon, and the night after. So there's 3 nights out of
Right.
the month where werewolves can be an issue. So like Oz is afraid that Willow's not going to love him, not going to want to be with him because he's a werewolf, and she's like, "Well, 3 days out of the month, I'm not, I'm pretty cranky too, so, we deal with it."
Yeah. Yeah.
So they end up being okay. And I
Yeah.
think that's like,
They all take turns watching him.
mm-hmm.
They lock him up in the library, which is
Yeah.
a little strange when you say it out loud without context, but
Yeah, yeah, but they end up getting a better
eventually, yeah.
cage that comes into play later. Anyway, so what happens? There is one episode out of this season where our favorite character comes back, Spike. So at the end of last season, Spike and Drusilla make off into the night after right before the whole apocalypse happens. He's like,
Yeah.
oh shit,
He knocks her out. I thought it was
he's really gonna kill her. And he's like, nah, well, whatever. And then he leaves with Drusilla.
yeah.
So he's there. Drusilla's knocked out in the car. He's
I
there.
just thought I thought that was kind of funny, but also too like Drusilla was very much no, this plan needs to happen. So she goes to like attack him, and I just think her little attack, like,
Yeah.
leap is just so cute and hilarious.
And he just knocks her the fuck out. So Spike comes back, and his whole plan is because it turns out that Drusilla dumped him,
For like some gross demon.
a chaos demon.
Yeah.
And the scenes with the chaos demon are just so funny because he's like, they're just all antlers and slime and shit like that. And it's just this dude in like, I don't know if he's in like a suit or if he's in like a sweater vest and some shit, but he's got like these huge fucking elk antlers dripping with slime.
So gross.
And the scene is like, so Spike and Drusilla are like arguing over why Drusilla wants to leave.
Yeah.
And there's just the chaos demon like in the back, like, so I should go, right? But Drusilla, this is where it's the first spark of like Spike's in love with Buffy
Yeah.
because
Oh.
Drusilla's like, you're obsessed with her, like that's all I can smell on you. It's all it's all you're obsessed with. And she's like, no, it's like I'm with you, blah blah blah. Like I drove us half across the world, blah, like, and all this kind of shit.
Yeah.
I did it all for you. So Spike drives to Sunnydale, kidnaps Willow, and is like, hey, you're gonna do a love spell. I'm gonna win Drusilla back. So he lays a trap where he gets Willow and Xander tucked away in the old mansion where the Acathla demon was.
Oh, yeah.
And at this point, which we had not already mentioned, Angel is back from the Hell dimension.
What?
Shock and awe. You didn't see it coming, did you?
No. And what else was that? Buffy knows and didn't tell anyone?
She never does stuff like that.
That
She never
bitch.
acts selfishly. I don't know if you guys saw that coming.
I didn't see it coming.
I was just as surprised as you are. But yeah, so shock and awe. Angel's back.
He's feral.
He is. He
Not Angel's feral. Like, he's feral, like, not speaking.
yes.
Feral.
Yeah, 'cause he came back all naked and wild.
Why am I here? What's happening? Oh, no.
But he did that in here. He didn't say it out loud.
No, he didn't.
So he still has his soul, but he's just kind of traumatized,
Yeah.
obviously, I guess, from being in a hell dimension. Wouldn't you
Understandable.
be?
Yeah, I guess. Okay. Just like, yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So Angel and Buffy. Now Angel is like talking. He's functioning. He's whatever. They go and they're trying to get Spike whatever he needs in order to. This is like the exchange. You help me get the shit that I need for the love spell. I tell you where your friends are. And the entire time, Spike is like drunk and just crying about all the things that he and Drusilla did. Like, oh, this bench. Drusilla and I killed a homeless man here. And Angel and Buffy are just like, you fucking ridiculous. Like, why the fuck are we doing this? Blah, blah, blah. And the famous speech that I memorized
Of course you did.
many moons ago, because I'm a fucking nerd. So Spike can see it for what it is.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, the last time I saw you guys were at each other's throat, and now you guys are making googly eyes at each other. And they're like, no, we're not, we're just friends. And he's like, you're not friends. You'll never be friends.
Yeah.
You'll fight and you'll shag and you'll hate each other till it makes you quiver, but you'll never be friends. Love isn't brains, children, it's blood. Blood screaming inside you to work its will. I'll shut up. But he says, I may be love's bitch, but at least I'm man enough to admit it. So he is like, you guys are in love, you just don't want to admit it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that you two can ever just be friends. So call a spade and just
Move
own
on
up to
with
it.
it. Yeah.
So he's like, you know what? Fuck it. Your friends are here. I'm just gonna go and essentially what Drusilla likes is like I'm gonna beat her until she loves me.
Yeah.
Drusilla's crazy. Don't do that.
Don't. Mm-mm.
We don't condone that.
No.
But
No.
anyway, that episode, Lover's Walk, one of my favorites from season 3. So, but all the while, Xander and Willow are cooped up in this mansion. And
Oh, that's right. That's how that happened.
so they're cooped up in this mansion. They're like locked in the dungeon or whatever. Oz and Cordelia are on the move to try to find them. Oz can smell Willow.
Yeah.
He can smell that she's scared, blah, blah, blah. So they go and they find them first before Buffy and Angel do. But while they're locked up, Willow and Xander make out. Like they end up
Wasn't
kind of
there
like
like
kissing.
little stuff though leading up to that? Like not like where they kissed or anything, but like instances where it was starting to be kind of obvious that they were like, oh shit, maybe like we caught
There are some
feels.
times after this, they're like, no, you can't say that
That's
because
right.
like I'm with I'm with Oz.
Yeah.
Like if I want him to trust me again, like this is I have to like we can't do this.
Yeah.
But I think this was like the first time that they're like other than like the beginning of season 2 where he put the ice cream on her nose
Yeah.
and he was going to like kiss it off.
That's what I mean. Though. I feel like there was like little stuff like that
Little tiny things every once in a while.
that was kind of makes you think of like something more going on
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
But nothing ever so overt as them making out
Yeah.
and so they're making out and Cordelia and Oz see it. So Cordelia sees it, tries to run away, ends up falling through the stairs, gets rebar through her body, and you think
Oh
that she's
yeah, I
dead.
forgot about
It
that.
just turns out that she's impaled in the hospital. But she's just like, get the fuck out. Like I never want to see you again, ever. So there are two like kind of like pivotal episodes with that.
Yeah, because I think it changes like a lot of the dynamic between everybody really in the season changes so much because like the dynamic of just them dating in general and then that happening changes the Scuba Gang's dynamic. Buffy lying about Angel being back, especially with Giles,
Yeah.
was pretty pivotal of again, like you lied, just left town, come back expecting us to be fine, open arms, and then this man who tortured me for days comes back and like
You didn't tell me. Like
yeah,
you have no respect for me or the job that I do. And obviously everyone else is upset because like he
tortured all of them really
yeah, he
like
like in some way, if not physically, like emotionally and psychologically, it's just like, why the fuck would you be so selfish? And she again is like, well, you wouldn't understand, blah blah blah, and
meh, 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 poor me.
whatever. So yeah, a lot of the dynamics change within the Scooby Gang. So Xander and Cordelia are no longer together. They both try to kind of like heal in some kind of way. Um,
Which results in Cordelia being super angry at Buffy somehow, right?
so she kind of traces all of the events back to if Buffy had never come to Sunnydale, none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
So she makes a wish in front of a vengeance demon, Anya,
Unknowingly.
unknowingly, of like, because Anya's whole vengeance demon gig is to find um,
Scorned women.
scorned women and to kind of help them heal. And how they heal is by getting vengeance on the men that scorned them. So Cordelia is like, I wish Buffy had never come to Sunnydale. So there's this whole nightmare universe that is created.
So the master still lives. Basically just overrun with
Yeah.
vampires.
So yeah, the master he ascended.
Yeah.
He's now on Earth. All of Sunnydale is run by vampires. There's like so few people left. There's like a huge curfew. You can't wear like the kind of Cordelia outfits because that's what draws vampires to you. So you have to dress very modestly. Willow and Xander are um they're vampires now. They were turned. Giles is just some white hat because he never was the watcher of Buffy.
Yeah.
And so there's just a few people that are there trying to like make sure that vampires don't kill even more people. Uh Angel is a pet
Oh yeah.
to Willow and Xander. So Willow and Xander are like a vampire couple together and they're very BDSM type stuff.
Yeah. Willow's like real sick and twisted.
Yeah. But this is like your first introduction to Vamp Willow.
Yeah.
Because she comes back. And she's very funny. But so that's an introduction to not only Vamp Willow but to Anya.
Yeah.
So Anya, because her little power source, which was like a necklace, a pendant, ends up getting destroyed, so she is turned human. And she has to deal with being human. So that's why she ends up
She's
being
like whatever, 1,000 years old.
Yeah. So she ends up being part of the show kind of like from here on out after that.
Oh yeah, she ends up being like a huge character.
Mm-hmm.
Like she becomes one of the Scooby Gang essentially.
Yes, but that's where she started. She started trying to turn the world into a hell dimension.
Inadvertently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Xander also tries to heal by doing a love spell so that he can like make Cordelia fall back in love with him so that he can break her heart. No, that happened at another time.
Yeah.
She broke up with him because he was seen as not cool.
Yep.
She was being made fun of. That was from before, back when Drusilla was still a thing.
Yeah.
That might have been in season 2, I think. Anyway, whatever.
Love spells are bad.
Love spells bad. No bueno. But so yeah, that's Vamp Willow is introduced. She comes back again. And
There's some foreshadowing with that.
yeah.
A lot of foreshadowing with that.
Yep. I think I'm a little gay. So at this point, Faith is aligned with the mayor now. Like we said, Cordelia, Xander are no longer together. Oz and Willow are together.
It's rocky.
They're patching things up. And there's an episode that I think we had talked about a little bit in the last episode, Earshot.
Yeah.
Which was an episode that they were going to air right before Columbine happened. And they ended up pulling it and like airing it much later.
Yeah.
But it involved what was going to be a school shooting. So Buffy ends up getting like stabbed by this one demon that like gives her telepathic abilities. So she can like read people's thoughts. And she hears that someone is like, at noon tomorrow, I'm going to kill you all. And it ends up being Jonathan, who, because he was so downtrodden and made fun of all the time, that he was going to end up like, I think, shooting people and killing himself. No, he was going to kill himself.
Yeah, that's what it ended up being. Like she thought that he was, because he was had a high-powered rifle, and it was in like a clock tower type situation that overlooked the good chunk of the school, like where they eat outside and stuff like that. And
but he was so you think that it's Jonathan, but it actually ends up being the lunch lady
rat poison,
putting rat poison in what is like the chili or some kind of meal that she was going to feed everyone. So she ends up being caught and whatnot.
Yeah.
But there's the episode, I think, Enemies. So, like I said, Faith's aligned with the mayor at this point. So they're trying to figure out, they know it.
Oh, yeah. They said that, like, at some point they know what the mayor's trying to plan.
Mm-hmm.
That he's been around forever. She's aligned with him and that they're planning this ascension thing. And obviously the mayor and Faith know that they know.
Yeah. So Faith tries to kill Angel, ends up getting him shot with like some kind of poison arrow that's like sucking the life out of him. And so what the description of this episode enemies as Faith attempts to seduce Angel and steal his soul, the mirror summons a dark magic demon to finish the job. And it turns out that this was all an elaborate ruse conducted by Angel and Buffy.
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Mm-hmm. It's coming back.
So this was it's all a ploy to get Faith to kind of like reveal the plans that they're going to do. And they find out that the mayor is going to ascend at graduation. So Angel pretends that he loses his soul, pretends like he's falling in love with Faith and he's going to start being with Faith and doing all the evil stuff. And they kidnap and chain up Buffy and they're going to like beat her and all this kind of stuff. And then she's like, I'm the world's best actress. That's what Faith says.
Yeah.
Angel's like, well, second best. And then she's like, oh, you fucking asshole. Like, she's like super pissed. But she's like, well, it doesn't change anything because you're going to die. We're going to kill you.
Because she inevitably does get Angel, though, with the poison arrow.
Yeah, that's where I think he had to drink Buffy's blood.
Okay.
That's how
But
he
there was,
heals.
but there was a reason, though, why she went after Faith specifically for the.
Oh, yeah. Stabs her with a knife.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good one. You brought that up. I remember now. So the poison arrow wasn't part of the ruse that I was talking about. Sorry. That was something else. That was just to steal
that was a
his
whole
soul.
separate
Yeah.
thing.
But the poison arrow, yes, you are right. Because Faith knows that Angel's a way to like weaken Buffy.
Yeah.
So she goes after Angel, shoots him. The only way to heal him is Slayer blood.
That's what it was.
So she ends up going after Faith with Faith's fancy knife that the mayor gave her.
Yes.
She stabs Faith, but she ends up falling into like a garbage truck that ends up going to LA or whatever. No, just a garbage truck in general.
Yeah.
But she ends up in a coma in the hospital, and the mayor's like super pissed and is like, you know what? All right, you're all gonna die. You're only gonna die a little bit, but now you're gonna die like a lot of it. And so that's when Buffy is like, well, Faith is no longer an option. I can't kill her to give you her blood, so take my blood.
Yeah.
So Angel sucks her blood, but doesn't kill her, and he's just fine and dandy. And he's like, you know what? We can't keep doing this. Like,
Yeah.
after graduation, I'm leaving. Like, we can't keep doing this. This is like killing both of us. So
That was a perfect spot for
yeah,
spinoff.
mm-hmm. But so Angel breaks it off. It was supposed to be, they were supposed to go to prom together, actually.
Yeah.
So that was an episode I think was like really like poignant because all of her classmates give her the class protector award.
Yeah. She wasn't even really gonna go. She was more or less like, let me just make sure nothing actually ruins prom for everybody else kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was so Tucker, remember Andrew's brother?
Yeah. The demon dogs.
Tucker sent the demon dogs on prom. Buffy, gets rid of them fairly quickly, fairly easily, I would say. And so she's there at prom, gets the class protector award. Angel shows up. They have a nice little dance. And then in later seasons, you realize no one knows who Andrew is. And you're like, Tucker's brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they get ready for graduation. Graduation is also Ascension Day, so the mayor is ready. The mayor is also the what do they call that? The commencement?
Yeah, the commencement speaker.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Yeah.
He does the commencement address.
Yeah.
Anyway, he is going to be doing this speech for graduation. And they managed to get all of the entire
Student body
to pitch in and help.
Yeah. And I loved how so in the previous season, or was it this season? No, yeah, it was a previous season when they all turned the Halloween episode where they all turned into their costumes.
Mhm.
Xander was an army kind of guy, so he still remembered like all of the training and stuff like that that they needed, and that's kind of
Yeah.
oh my god, words. He helps with that, the training and the waves and the fallback and the
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Fuck.
We don't form words.
If you guys haven't picked up on that by now, I don't know what show you've been watching.
Makes reading makes our speaking English good.
Yes.
That
What?
was one of the quotes from Buffy, right?
Yeah.
Reading makes our speaking English good.
What?
Anyway, so it's kind of cool. Like you see all of these students, like they're taking back their school.
They're finally
Um,
just fully immersing themselves in like, yeah, this place is a hellmouth and it's really fucked up.
yeah, and it's they end up killing. They destroy the mayor. They blow up the school in order to do so.
Yes. So the school, the library were like, the Scooby Gang always met, and it's kind of like very, iconic and pivotal. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's gone.
but the the actors and actresses were thrilled when they had to blow up the library because a lot of the scenes they had so many scenes that would take place in the library, and those scenes were always like filming those scenes always took like so long because it was like all dialogue and they weren't doing anything, and you just had to like
Drone on
drone
and
on, talk and
on.
talk and talk and talk, and there wasn't a lot of action. So they were like, you know what? Good. Fucking kill it. Just blow it up. We're done.
But, I mean, you're going to have that kind of show. Like, there's really no getting away from it.
No.
Like, it just happened in a different setting.
Mm-hmm.
Moving, like.
Well, they do that. So like in the next season, it's Giles' house, and then in the following season, it's the Magic Box.
Right. So, you don't
So
really actually get away from it.
no, they just they everything gets kind of like a year long lease after that point instead of like a 3-year lease. It's a
True.
year lease. You get a short term lease on the Gathering place.
But I don't know. I mean, I think, and this is definitely like last season, you have a lot of really important characters that have been introduced. Some, kind of foreshadowing on where certain characters are going to go, like
Mhm.
Willow starting to practice magic, starting to like be interested in the dating realm, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think this is all kind of like upended. Everyone's life is upended in some way or form,
Yeah.
like some type of fashion. And I think like I think towards like the end of last season too, with Lie to Me,
Yeah.
of just realizing that like it's not all going to be happy endings.
No.
And I think this kind of like further jumps on that bandwagon of, you need to be responsible and it's not all about you, and, there are certain things that you just can't go around doing.
Yeah. And this is also like this season, it was the last year of their high school career.
Yeah.
So they did survive graduation. They did graduate high school. And so that's kind of like there are a lot of just like in your actual senior year of high school, you go through all of these changes and you're growing up and there's a lot of confusion and all this kind of stuff. And then there was a lot of heartbreak and truly like a lot of metamorphosis with a lot of the
Yeah.
characters and everything and changing and growing and a lot of uncertainty with what's going to happen because there were some episodes where they were discussing where are you going to go to college? Are you going to go to
Yeah.
college? What's going on? And Willow had been accepted into all of these like huge
Everywhere.
Ivy League school.
MIT.
She could go to any school that she wanted to. And Buffy's like, well, I got into like she had good college grades, and she was kind of like, well, do I even continue to do the whole school thing because I'm still this like I'm a Slayer. Like I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. And her mom is like really like gung ho, like you can go anywhere, you can do anything. And Buffy's like, well,
Have to stay here.
I kind of have to stay here. Like I'm the Slayer. And so just like there's a lot of uncertainty in like real life and reality, like with, what are you going to do after high school?
Yeah.
What are you going to do with the rest of your life? Do you have
And
to decide right now what's going to go on? And they kind of do like a parallel of that in this season. And I think that's kind of like a lot of people can relate to that.
oh
Like
yeah.
the answer, like, what the fuck are we gonna do? And it's decided that, like, they're gonna go to the Sunnydale University or
Yeah.
whatever, UC Sunnydale. And so Buffy's gonna go there. Willow ends up she's gonna go there. Oz.
That basically all for them to just stay together.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing too of what am I going to do after high school? Am I going to go to college? What career am I going to have? But like, are all these relationships that I just built and fostered over the past 4 years going to go their separate ways because you go to this college or you go off to do this, and
Yeah.
I think there's that fear that like we're all going to be disbanded and have to like put these relationships aside and probably lose them. But they all decide to stick
Yeah.
together.
So Buffy, Willow, and Oz end up going to UC Sunnydale. Xander, you find out later that he decides to kind of like do like a road trip across country. Cordelia moves to LA.
Yep.
So this kind of at the end of this season, that's when Angel starts in. So he goes to LA. So after graduation, he played his part, and you see him come out of the fog, and it's like, hey, I'm leaving, and then he leaves and disappears, and that's when Angel starts his own show.
Yep.
Cordelia ends up going to that show. Wesley, he was the proper inept watcher of both Buffy and Faith for a while, but he ends up going over to Angel as well. But he showed up in this season. He semi-pivotal role, more like an introductory kind of role. And when you see him show up in Angel, you're like, this fucking dude. But he ends up having like a really cool story arc.
Yeah,
in that
starts
show.
to like develop a lot more because you gotta think like all these watchers, they're trained in all kinds of things, including battle.
Yeah.
So you start to like see that a little bit more confidence and stuff like that. With still being Wesley though, and really,
he's a rogue demon hunter. Oh God. But yeah, so I feel like this was like I think last season it really started picking up its stride, and I think this season continued that.
Oh yeah.
And there are a lot of really good episodes that come up in season 4, and there's a lot of different elements in that one because now they're all in college, and they're all out of high school. They're trying to figure out who they are, what they want to do, and all this kind of stuff, and who they want to be.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool what goes on with that, and we get into different relationships that they're gonna have. Not only, I think most of the characters end up doing that.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just like you said though. I mean, I think after the first season, you definitely start to, like you said, it gets its stride, and I think it's just the character development and the way that they are able to incorporate, like you said, real world concerns and issues and problems within the Buffyverse. I always thought that's one of the reasons why I love this series. They always did a really, really, really good job with that. So like you said, I think with this one, it's an end of an era. They're technically adults now, going into the adult world, and you said a lot of relationships are shaken up and changed, but it's hard life lessons that had to be learned.
Yeah.
That had to happen, and
I think we can have. So after we discuss each season, I think we can have an episode where we discuss other elements of the show, like relationships and big bads and all that kind of stuff.
It's just a lot.
There is a lot.
It's a lot.
We've had a lot of arguments about
so many arguments.
But like, yeah, well, we'll get to that when we get to that. But yeah, so next episode, we are going to be discussing season 4.
Yeah.
And so stay tuned for that. And I hope you liked this episode. I think we kept it a little bit more together.
Yeah.
This season. Yeah.
It was good. Flowed good.
Flow.
So I'm saying, like, by season 3, they got their stride and their flow. So by episode 3, like, it was all on purpose. We did it. It was meant to be.
We just go. Yeah. Man, by episode 6, though, we're going to be a shit show.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Anyway,
next week, season 4. So if you like our vibe, please like and subscribe. We'll have all of our Social media is linked in the description box down below.